In this Rekordbox tutorial, the free features of the Rekordbox performance mode. In this video, I'll take you step by step through all the features of the software. This extensive video has multiple ads and call to actions in it. This is the only way that I can produce these kinds of extensive tutorials completely free of charge. If you don't like the ads and the call to actions, you can purchase my ad-free and call to action free complete Rekordbox course. The course is an explanation of all the free features of the Rekordbox export and performance mode. When we are in the export mode, we can go to the performance mode to perform a DJ gig and to mix, for example. On the top of the screen is a selection item that says export here, and we are now going to the performance mode. Then we get a screen, and this is the performance screen of Rekordbox, formerly known as Rekordbox DJ. You can choose how you want to display that performance section, and over here you can do that. You have a 2-deck horizontal view. That is the view that we're in now. So we have two waveforms. This is the first deck, this is the second deck, this is the first deck, this is the second deck, and over here you have the browser that was also in the export mode of Rekordbox. Then we can go, if you want to the 2-deck vertical mode. And the 2-deck vertical mode has the waveforms, the zoomed in waveforms over here instead of on top of the screen, and a zoomed out version over here and over here. This is deck 1 and this is deck 2. Also, the buttons are a little bit larger here and here. It's just what your preference is. I'm going to switch back to horizontal in a minute. There's also a 4-deck horizontal mode. Then you have here one deck, another deck, and another deck. The numbers of the decks are over here. All the zoomed in waveforms are over here. This is deck number 1. You can see that over here. This is deck number 2. This is deck number 3, and this is deck number 4, and crammed on the bottom of the screen is the browser again. If you have a horizontal mode in a 4-deck version, you have of course a vertical view that is somewhat the same as the 2-deck version, but there are 4 decks, of course. All the waveforms are over here. Let's drag and drop a track to deck number 3, and you'll see here is a waveform, and when we drag a track over here, then there's also a waveform. No, we have also the browse mode, and that is the same view on the bottom. The focus is on the bottom of the screen. Then we have a little bit bigger representation of the tracks. Let's go back to the horizontal mode in the 2-deck version. Again, zoomed in waveform here, zoomed out waveform here, zoomed out waveform here. On the top of the screen we have a couple of buttons. An FX button, and when you click that, you will see that on the top of the screen is added an extra effects panel. I will come back to that in a minute. Over here we have the sampler panel. I disabled the effects panel for now, so you can see it a little bit better. So the sampler panel that is added over here. Then the mixer panel, and the mixer panel adds here on the screen an extra mixer. Also, there is the record panel over here. That is a feature that is limited in the free version. You can't record. You need a subscription plan for that. But if you have that subscription plan over here, and then is a record button over here. Then there is also the lighting panel. You can control the lights. Again, lighting panel is for the subscription plan. There's also the Ableton link. You can connect Rekordbox with the Ableton DAW, and then this button will take care of that. Let's first go over the player controls, then later we come back to the controls on the top of the screen. The player controls. Over here we have player 1. I can drag and drop a song from the browser onto or the waveform, or if I want another song, for example, I can also drag and drop it to this player section. That doesn't matter. When we are in the players, let's explain what is displayed over here. Here is the title of the track, and if there's an artist, there's an artist. Over here I'm using copyright-free music without the ID3 tags, so there's no information here. I don't have any album art over here. It displays the track, tempo and the key. 8A, that's the notation that is the same as a minor. Over here, what is the remaining time of a track, and this is the elapsed time of a track. We can, if we want to, manually adjust the key over here. Over here we have the play button, and when you press the play button, it starts the song. There's also the Q, and the Q button does the same as on a DJ controller. In the pause mode, if I press Q, then it will set a Q point over here. When you play and stop again, then I can set a new Q point. That is a starting point of a song. When I click the Q when it's playing, it will reset to the point that I set the Q point. When I want to create a loop, then I can do that while I'm playing. I'm playing, and now I can say, do I want an 8-beat loop or half a loop? That's 4 beats. When I click on that button, then it will make an automatic loop. I can extend the loop if I want by clicking on one of these buttons, or I can halve the loop. Or extend it again. You can press here, and then you can set the manual way a loop. So when I exit the loop, I need to click over here to exit the loop, otherwise it will repeat continuously. I have to click exit. I can click reloop if I want to, then it will jump back to the loop that we made earlier. If I want to set a manual loop, then I can do that with the in and the out point. In, out. Now it will set a loop to the in and the out point that I specified. If you analyze the beat grid, something which I always recommend you do, then you can use the quantize function. With the quantize on, it will go to the nearest beat in the beat grid, and that's what we did. With the when the Q is red, then it is enabled. When the Q is gray, then it is disabled. So with disabled Q, when I first exit the loop, then I in and out, it will do exactly where I pressed the in and the out. And when I do that with the Q, it always round up to the nearest beat. Over here is the slip button. When I click the slip button, then on the background the music will continue while you do stuff, for example effects or pause the track. You'll see that on the top of the screen there will walk a bar, and that is what is in the background playing, but you don't hear it. And it picks up right at the point where the music would have been if you did not do that action. Again, that applies to hot cues, to pausing and effects. You can disable this again by clicking slip again. Want no ads? My Rekordbox course has 0 ads and you can download it to your computer. The link is in the description. There's also the master tempo, and the master tempo, just like it says here, adjusts the background speed, playback speed, sorry, without changing the pitch of the track. Let's speed up this track immensely. This will also increase the pitch, but with master tempo enabled, and it is enabled when it's red, then it only will increase the speed and not the pitch of your track. When you play a manual vinyl record, then if you speed up, also the pitch will speed up. With an algorithm you can contain the pitch, and that is what Rekordbox does when you enable master tempo. When I play this track, you will notice that it is too slow. It says also over here minus 7.5. I can up the BPM if I want, or I can type in the BPM I want. If my keyboard reacts, yes, 128. Now we have closely related BPMs. But I can also say, hey, I want to copy over the BPM from one track to another track. For example, track 1 is playing, and let's say this is 120. And if I assign this track as master, I can copy over the BPM by clicking on beat sync over here. Now you'll see that 128.77 and also 128.77 is here, while we set another BPM before. Tracks might not be compatible in key. For example, my track over here is A minor. And my track over here is B major. How do we gonna fix that? There is a clever solution for that in Rekordbox, and that is called key sync. It says A minor over here, it says B over here. When I click on key sync, this is my master track, then it will change to C. And why is it C and not A minor? Because this is an A minor track and this is C major, and if you know the wheel of fifths, then you will know that the A minor has the same notes in it as C major. So it is now key compatible, so I can mix it and the key of the tracks are the same. You can see how much it changed the key of the song, and it is in this case 1 semitone. I recommend not to go beyond 3 or 4 semitones, because then you will hear it very loud. Over here we have the hot cue section. When we are in this tab sheet, there's also this tab sheet, but we are in this tab sheet, and it says here displays the pad mode, and here are displayed the hot cues. It depends what is displayed here on the setting you do over here. There are quite some settings and we will go over that. I can set a cue point. For example, when I want to set a cue point here, I do that with a cue enabled. Let's cue it by clicking on cue, and when I click here, it will set hot cue A. and I can set, for example, hotkey B over here, and it will set here. When I play the track now, and I can use the keyboard for that, when I press 1 on the keyboard it will go to hotkey A, and when I press the 2 I will go to hotkey B, C is number 3, etc. It changes halfway because the extra hotkeys are reserved for deck number 2. So I can press 3 and it will add a extra hotkey. When I press 4 it will add hotkey D. When I press 5, nothing will happen. When I press 6, then it will add a hotkey A and a hotkey B. When I press 7, it will add hotkey B. When I press 8, it will set hotkey C for deck 2, and 9 will do hotkey D. The hotkeys work the same way as they do on the CDJ. So when I play a song, I can click over here and it will go to hotkey A. And I can also, what I already said, press 1 on my keyboard and it will go back to hotkey A, or 2, then it will go back to hotkey B. And hotkey B, C and D are at the same point, so when I press 3 or 4 it will go back to the same point in the song. Now I pressed spacebar. That's something that I do automatically because I edit a lot of videos. And that's the same thing on a DAW, but not in Rekordbox. How this is displayed depends a little bit if you have a DJ controller connected. Let's connect the DDJ RB controller. That is just a simple controller. RB, by the way, stands for Rekordbox. Then when I connect it via USB, you will see that the display will change in Rekordbox DJ. Now you will see that over here is hotkey A, hotkey B, hotkey C and hotkey D. When we go to the DJ controller, then in the hotkey section, that depends a little bit on which controller you have hotkey A, B, C and D. So when I press A, then it will go back to hotkey A, B, C and D. So the positions of these knobs correspond with the buttons on the DJ controller. That's very handy. To be honest, I find this view much more useful even if you have no DJ controller connected, but hey. Let's go to Pad FX. You can add extra effects when you are playing a song, for example. The roll, the sweep, the flanger, the break, the echo and the reverb. When we play a song and we click on these buttons over here, then it will execute that effect. For example, I play. When I do a roll, sweep, flanger, break, echo, reverb and echo. By the way, on the bottoms of these buttons are displayed for which tempo they apply. For example, this is half, 1/4, so this is 1 beat. The echo is half a bar, reverb 50 milliseconds. When I disconnect my DJ controller again, then you will see that again the view changes. Go to Pad FX again, and I can again click on these buttons and it will apply the effect. There are two banks. This is bank number 1 and this is bank number 2, so you have extra effects. And there's even a second bank over here, so we have extra effects you can apply. Over here is the slicer, and with the slicer you can slice a certain beat in different sections. For example, when we have over here, and I enable the slicer, when you play you'll see it will light up here. When I play a song, when I click here, it will go back to the first beat in the bar and then continues playing. So this is kind of the slip mode. You can again enable another view when I connect the DDJ-RB. And when I go to the slicer section on the DDJ-RB, then you will see that when I play the song, I can control what is happening on the controller. Want no ads? My Rekordbox course has 0 ads and you can download it to your computer. The link is in the description. On the bottom of this pad we can see we have the slicer loop here. This means that it repeats, it's just a loop, so it repeats instead of taking a new slice every single time. So play, when I go over here it will continue playing, but when I have this enabled it will continue as it was just a normal loop. Over here we have the range of the slicer, and yeah, that is basically a zoom in and zoom out function. You'll see it will zoom in here more and now it zooms out, so you have more of an overview. Over here the beat slicer, how much does it has to repeat? How long? This is an eighth of a beat. I will let you hear that. This is an eighth of a beat, quarter of a beat. I can shorten it and it's shorter. Also look here on the display if it's hard to hear. And the maximum is a quarter of a beat of a bar. Shorter, really short. Let's disconnect the DDJ-RB again. The next function in this list is the beat jump. And the beat jump has some similarities to the beat slicer, only you can jump certain beats. That means that you can jump ahead 1 beat or 2 beats. You can set that here, or 4 beats or 8 beats. 1 beat, 2 beats, a whole bar, or 2 bars. Or you can go back 2 bars. But you can also do half a beat, or 1/8 of a beat. There are 2 banks, so you have also 16 beats, 32 beats, 64 or even 128 beats. The next function in this list is the beat loop. That's just regular loops. 1/64th, that's really short, that's why it's humming. And this is a loop of 1 beat, a 2 beat loop. Again, 2 banks, so I can go to 4 beats, 8 beats, or 16 beats if I want to. The next function here is keyboard, and you can pitch up or pitch down when you access a hot cue. I have to assign a hot cue for that, so I can say I want to pitch up hot cue A. In this case it's set to 0, so nothing extra will happen, but I can pitch it up 1 semitone 2 semitone, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 semitones if I want to. Now when I play and I say -8 for example, it will play from hot cue A but 8 semitones lower, or 4 semitones, 3, 2, 1. You can go up to 12 semitones if you want. Again, hot cue A, 12 semitones up, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now let's go to key shift. Key shift is exactly the same as keyboard, only it doesn't need a hot cue for that, so it just pitches the song up or down. So when I play this song, plus 12 semitones, plus 7 semitones, plus 5. 0 is of course nothing. Now it slows down, 11 semitones down. Key reset over here. Key sync, that's the sync with the other track. 1 semitone up and 1 semitone down. The next option here is the sequencer call. You can record certain sequences in Rekordbox. You can layer those sequences if you want, so you can play multiple samples tracks on top of each other. And you can record it as a sequence and you can play that over another track, for example. So it's sampler plus plus, so to say. Only you need a subscription plan for that. You can record a sequence, but you can't save it, you can't store it, so it's of no use to show you here. Let's go from sequencer call to active sensor. With active sensor you can apply effects to certain sections of your track. Those effects are automatically triggered. You only have to say this is the out point, this is the in point. From there to there you have to apply that effect. It's a non-destructive edit, so it is applied on the fly by Rekordbox itself, and it isn't applied by writing it down in the file of the track. I have a couple of effects to choose from: reverse roll, trance, echo and break. Let's take this track over here. Let's play it. I'm over here, I cue it. I say reverse roll, I want to apply, this is the in point. Now a mark will appear over here and I'm gonna play it, and here I want to have the out point, so I cue it. So it goes to this point and I say out. Now this is reversed rolled. It isn't activated yet, I have to press on for that. Now it is activated, it's yellow. And when we reverse the track, I hope that it will work. Sometimes it doesn't work, I noticed. When I play the song, yes, it works. So you see, when you hit that point in a track, then the effect is automatically applied. I can also switch that to trance, for example. So when I reverse, we can assign multiple sections of the song. So cue it again, and I say here in, and here the out, cue it, and here the out. And now I can rewind. And you'll see that there are two sections in the track that trance is applied. I can also switch that to echo if I want. Sometimes it doesn't work properly. I don't know what that is. Let's switch it to break. It worked, but it was a little bit short. Ooh. You can jump to the in point and the out point by these arrows. Go. You can select the parameter. For example, here V-break, I can switch that to half or 1/4. So, and that's again also the same with trans. I can switch the parameter over here. When I want to get rid of this, I have to go to a section, an active section. It doesn't need to be on or off, that doesn't matter. But now I can select clear if I want to. But when I'm here, I can't select clear because it doesn't know which section it has to delete. So when I click here, I can click clear. Now this section is deleted, but this section still exists. I can also say, hey, I'm in this section, I want to adjust the out point. Then I click here. Then I can go to a new point over here, for example. Click Q so we know it's exactly on the beat, and click out again. And now yeah, it worked, but there are some kinks to iron out for Pioneer. If you took value from this video, you definitely gonna like what I have in store for you in my Rekordbox playlist. The playlist is filled to the brim with Rekordbox tutorials. The link is in the description below. Let's go to memory cue. Memory cue are the cue points that you set in your track and the cue points that you set in the export mode. So yeah, I don't want to go into detail because I already discussed that in the export part. The same, by the way, for the grid edit. You can change the points in the grid, move them to the left, move them to the right. I went over that extensively in the export section, so I don't want to go into detail here. I go back to the pad version, and let's talk about the things that were here on the top of the screen. Show and hide FX panel. FX panel will add the FX panel here on top of the screen. You can add certain effects to a song. I can apply, for example, the trance effect. I click on trance, but make sure that this FX level is set, that this volume is set, otherwise you won't hear anything. You can set the parameters by clicking left and right here. This is applied on 1 beat, half beat, 1/4 of a beat, 1/8, 1/4. There are also other effects here, and you click therefore here, and we can apply, for example, delay, or we can apply echo, spiral, reverb, reverse delay, MT delay, up echo. To be honest, I didn't use much of these effects. There are some effects that are useful. Reverb, for example, echo or delay can be useful. Trance sometimes, filter, flanger, but yeah, that's where it pretty much ends. Down echo. Oh, it will pitch down a little bit when it echoes. Same for up. Again, sound, not sound, sound, not sound. Pan will pan from the left to the right. Filter, automatic filter. Flanger, phaser. Phaser and flanger are brothers of each other. Slip roll will repeat a certain section of a song. It's basically a loop. Roll, same as slip roll, only slip roll will continue playing in the background and roll repeats. But you hear the same thing in your ear, only the track keeps continuing playing with slip roll. Reverse roll, robot, pitch. Let's rewind the track. Enigma jet, Mobius saw. Oh, they call that Mobius saw. That's the effect. It seems like to go forever. And low cut echo. Where does it has to apply those effects that you select here? To the first deck, second deck. So when I click over here, it has selected now deck 1 and deck 2. So when I play, now it is applied also to this deck. You can say, hey, I want to assign it to the sampler, or I want to assign it to the master. So all decks are influenced. If you spin with 4 decks, you can select here deck 3 and 4 also in the 2 deck mode. To the master, that is everything that is going out of the speakers, or only the sampler, or only deck 1 or only deck 2. You can apply more than one effect if you like. When you want to apply only one effect, then you go here, and then this is only one effect, but you can apply multiple effects, 3 effects if you want, because you see the same section that is over here is also over here, over here, and over here. 4, sorry. With the same parameters you can apply multiple effects at once if you like to. How does it need to react to the beats per minute? So does it have to go auto, so the beats of the track, or do you want to tap it? And when I tap this button, it will record how quickly I tap the button. Well, I can pretty accurately tap 128 beats per minute. You can apply a second effects chain with again the same parameters, 1 or 4 effects, only the sampler, only the master. When we are in the 1 effect mode, then we can set some parameters. For example, I'm here in the reverse roll. Make sure that this volume button is up. When I play a track, apply reverse roll, I can set how much, this is duty, how heavily it is applied. and low cut. But these parameters are different for different effects. How much feedback in the echo, reverb is the room size, how much reverb, how big is your room. The bigger the room, the more percentage. And you can set the decay. And do you want to high cut or low cut it? Every effect has its different parameters. When you connect a DJ controller, then you can operate these buttons with the controller. In this case, the DDJ RB has only one button to control. So when I turn this knob, you will see that on the display it will react to my by the reverb. When I turn this knob, then you'll see that the button or the volume knob on the screen will also change, and the same if the effect is applied or the effect is not applied. That's one of the handy features of using a DJ controller in Rekordbox DJ. Over here we have the color effects section, CFX. Over here, that is this whole section of the screen. We can have multiple effects, so we have multiple thingies over here, or we can have one effect. Let's dive into the one effect mode, because when we have one effect we can apply it to the others as well. One effect mode. Over here we have the default and the user mode. The default mode copies the settings from your DJ controller if your DJ controller has such a button, but in this case this is the DJ RB, doesn't have a color effects button. Then we can only, in this mode, it copies the settings from your DJ controller. Here we can only select filter yes or no. When we have the user mode, then we can select other filters over here. And I can select filter, jet, crush, noise, pitch, space, dub echo, sweep, and gate compression. I think that is. Default, I can't select an user, I can select another effect if I want. Again, when it's a blue, then it is applied, and when it's not blue, it's not applied. Let's play track number 1 and click on play. Now pitch is applied, but now it's off, now it's on. How much of pitch is applied? That depends on this knob over here. This is for deck number 1, this is for deck number 2, this is for deck number 4, this is for deck number 3. It was a head scratcher for me. Why is 3 here and 2 and 4 there? That's because in the 4-player mode, the fourth deck number 1 and 4 are over here, and deck number 3 and 2 and 3, no, 2 and 4 are over here. How much pitch do we want? We want a lot of pitch, and we can pitch down if we want to. Let's apply another effect. Filter, for example. Filter is now disabled, and when I turn the knob, nothing happens. When it is enabled, when I turn the knob, it will apply the filter. The other effect is jet. Crush. You can also have the parameter. How much do you want to crush it? We have noise, some extra. And you can not do that on track number 2. Pitch, we already had that. Space, some different pioneer mixes as well. Kind of an echoey effect. Dub echo, sweep, it's also a filter, and gate. It ducks away. That's it for the effects section. Let's go to another section here on the top of the screen. Let's hide the effects panel and enable the sampler panel. And in the sampler panel you have the samples. This is the sampler panel. And here is a sample. I programmed in a sample. By the way, when I connect a DJ controller, you can trigger those samples with your DJ controller. When I press the sampler on my DJ controller, my first sample over here will correspond with the first button over here. And when I press the second button over here, it will correspond with the second slot in the sampler. So when I press this button, it will activate the sample. But when I press this button on the controller, it will also activate the sample. In this case, I've programmed an impact, but I can program my own sounds if I want to. I can activate the sample by pressing here. I can also mute it if I want to by clicking on this button over here. I can delete it by clicking over here. Let's do that. And now my sample is gone. And I can also edit it. Let's add a new sample. For example, I have a punch in the face over here. Let's drag and drop it from Finder. It asks which, it wants to analyze the sample because it thinks, hey, it's a new file, a new song in the Rekordbox library. It will add it also to your Rekordbox library. I say okay. And now my sample is over here, and I again can trigger it with the button on my DJ controller. So when I press the first button on my DJ controller, it activates the sample. I can edit it if I want to. I can edit the gain, so what is the volume. Now it's louder, now it's less loud. Do I want to have it on a one shot or a continuous loop? So when I activate this sample, it will continue playing without doing anything. And in the one shot mode, it will only trigger once. Loop mode. Over here is the gate mode. That means that a sample is played as long as I press the button. For this sample, it's really short, so it isn't really a really good example. But only when I press the button, then it will play completely. So I need to keep the button pressed for it in order to play completely. Then over here is the master tempo. Do you want to play it on the original pitch? The master tempo is the same as with the master tempo over here, so I won't go into detail for that. Then over here I can set the in point of the sample. This is go back and go forward. So when I press this a couple of times, you will see that this white bar will go to the left or to the right. And that is the starting point of the sample. So when I play it, it starts here with playing that sample. And now it starts from the beginning of that sample. I can also halve or double the BPM if I want to. That's only applicable on if I have a sample that is in a certain kind of beat, but most samples don't have that, are one shot, so a impact, for example, then you don't have a BPM. Also, here is the sync button, and if the sync is active, then loop samples are synced with the BPM of the sampler deck. When I click on edit again, then this sample is, I'm done editing with this sample. I can also set the gain if I want to. So, and that's the gain for all the samples. You can change the BPM of a sample, for example, before it is played back. You can do this over here. I can enter a value 140 or 130, for example, and I can also drag or drag the slider up and down, so I can use this sync thingy over here. Want no ads? My Rekordbox course has 0 ads and you can download it to your computer. The link is in the description. Now let's go to the mixer panel, and over here is the mixer panel. I enable the mixer panel and disable the sampler track. Mixer panel is over here and over here. You can probably hide it if you have connected a DJ controller. Then you don't have to have these controls on the screen, because you can do everything on the controller, so you have more space on your screen. But in this case, I'm going to disconnect my DJ controller and I'm going to mix on the screen. Okay, I have 2 tracks over here. And we can mix them with these very familiar mix knobs. We have the trim knob, so the volume of the track. Let's play the track and trim. We can up the track volume. Now it's lower, up, lower. I can adjust the high. I can adjust the mid, and I can adjust the lower frequencies. You don't hear that because I'm playing on my laptop speakers and they don't display a bass. Over here we have the fader, as you might expect. Over here is the crossfader, and here are the faders from the other track. So when I play this track now, track number 2, then it will play the second track. I can put the volume of this track down and only play track number 2. Over here we have the crossfader, and I can use the crossfader to switch between one track or the other if it's enabled. What exactly is faded from left to right you can set over here. You can choose between 1 or 2 and 3 or 4, and the same over here. So I switch now from track 1 to track 2, so track 1 is lit over here and track 2 is lit over here. I can do the same thing for track number 3, and it is mixed with track number 4. Over here is a mix knob for your headphones. If you have multiple sound cards connected, or you have connected a DJ controller, which is in itself a sound card, then you can set the mix level of another channel, and that can be your headphones, for example. When we leave the mixer panel over here, I already talked about it a little bit. Hide the record panel over here, master out. If you have a subscription plan, you can use this. The volume up and down, you can use this button, stop and start recording. This is for Kuvo I don't use Govo. Then over here is the lighting panel if you have some lights connected. Ableton link. My page is your account of Pioneer. How much did you spend with Pioneer? It's all displayed here. Library sync, the plan, and some information about Rekordbox itself. Over here is the preferences window. This is the regular preferences window of Rekordbox. Nothing special about that. This is just a shortcut. Over here, the master volume of your software of Rekordbox. Over here you have the CPU detector, how much of your CPU is in use. When you disconnect your power supply, let's do that. You'll see that over here is also a battery icon, and the time is over here, so you can use it in full screen mode, and you have the time and the battery really handy in the corner of Rekordbox. If you like this tutorial, you should definitely check out my export mode tutorial of Rekordbox. You can find it here. Individual Rekordbox tutorials you can find in the playlist here, my complete Rekordbox course here, and also in the description below.